Bears, Texans in Houston Sunday night. Who you got?
I'm going with the Houston Texans, and we all know what C.J. Stroud can do. He was masterful in his first year. He was really good in this game as well. But I think the addition of Joe Mixon, you like that? The addition of Joe Mixon. Right now that this team is number one in the NFL in rushing yards, and Joe Mixon is a big part of that. I really like what history tells us from Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, and also Mike McDaniel. The second year in this Shanahan-type system, the run game is masterful.
So, Kmart, this is your game. All of us like Houston in this game. Kmart not making a pick, of course, because she's covering the game on Sunday night. But as I ask you to open up the notebook, clearly I think the spotlight
1,000%
is
is on
there's
Caleb
CJ
Williams.
last week. Now you got, or last year, now you got Caleb in his build.
Well, we know what C.J. Stroud is. He showed us last year. Now the question of Caleb Williams, how will he fare? Because in week one, he looked very hesitant. I don't want to say he was nervous. He looked overwhelmed. What should have been easy throws became...
Hold on. I'm going to let this clip play, but we have to just take a second and pause. If you're a Houston Texans fan, just think about this for a second. They said that the spotlight is without a doubt on Caleb Williams. And then the question here says, does Caleb Williams need to outplay C.J. Stroud? Think about how insulting that is. Now, I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose. I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose. This is not a shot at, ESPN or anything, so don't take it that way. But just think of how crazy of a question and just of a presence that is, right? That the spotlight is more on Caleb Williams than C.J. Stroud, who had one of the best, if not the best, rookie seasons of all time. The one who's set up to take over the NFL, right? They keep saying that Caleb Williams is leapfrogging everyone, and C.J. Stroud is like, I'm doing it. I'm actually the one doing it. I did it rookie year, and I already am hitting the ground running in my second season right now, first game. I'm 1-0, and not because my defense bailed me out. So the fact that that attention, right? CJ was a talk of the town last season, and now he can't even outshine a rookie. And the fact that they're even asking the question, does Caleb Williams need to outplay C.J. Stroud? Like it's even a possibility, right? Like asking, would you, and obviously now Mahomes, this has been a few years, so it's a little bit harder, but if we rewind Mahomes back a few years, 2020, 2021, whatever, right? Like, would you ever say, does so-and-so need to outplay Mahomes? Like it would be a possibility. Like a rookie could do that, right? In this type of situation. So the fact that that's even a question that they're saying that about C.J. Stroud, come on, I find that insane personally, right? If they want to say, does Caleb Williams need to look like he belongs? Does he need to have a good game? Like, to outplay C.J. Stroud? Man, would that shock me. That I would genuinely be, like, blown away, because I think C.J. Stroud is for real. I think C.J. Stroud is shaping up to be a true bona fide top quarterback in the NFL, if not already that. But I am a wait-and-see type of person. I'm not trying to crown someone before they have a little bit more than a season under their belt. But that's just like, a caveat. But come on, man. Like, come on. What are we talking about here?
Errant passes. He can do the Superman stuff. He can scramble, all that. But what his team needs to see, and other teams during the draft process wanted to see, was, can you do the simple things? Can you work within the pocket? Can you diagnose a whole defense and break it down and make the smart play? When you're going up against C.J. Stroud, the offensive player, the rookie of the year, and Harry, we talked about this earlier on SportsCenter. The whole world is watching in prime time. This is a kid who wants that spotlight. But I talked to their tight end, Cole Kmet, last night on the phone, and he said, Caleb is not a guy who's worried about stats. Last week, 100%, his welcome to the NFL moment. And that is a good thing, because all rookies go through that. This game, we have to do better for him. We have to put him in a position where he doesn't feel like he has to do everything. He is a kid who wants to be great, but he does need time.
What does the tape show? I mean, again, they came back and won that game on a block punt and a pick six.
I think this Sunday night is development versus domination. I mean, you want to see development out of Caleb. I'd go back last week. It was, I don't think he married his feet and the timing of his feet with some of their past
All right, well, they're just going to talk about Caleb Williams and all this and less about the Houston Texans. And quite frankly, I wanted this to be more centered around Houston Texans. I'm thinking about maybe splitting this clip up and just going from Dan Orlovsky forward for a different clips, focusing more on Caleb Williams, because I literally said that this is more about development and domination. I said I need to see Caleb Williams continue to grow and not necessarily dominate. And so that's why Dan Orlovsky is pretty much saying, like, what do we, he's not saying it directly because he's now going to go talk all about Caleb, but it's just like, exactly, what kind of question is that? There in no world should Caleb Williams be able to dominate and outshine CJ Stroud, unless CJ Stroud just has an off game, which is obviously a possibility, right? Any quarterback can have an off game. Or CJ Stroud is just not actually that good, which I don't believe for a second, and I'm pretty sure a majority of people watching this video also do not believe that for a second. Preseason, CJ Stroud was, my one of my leading candidates for MVP, quite frankly. That's how high I think of CJ Stroud. I just find a little segment like this pretty funny, and pretty much what I was saying, I just realized this right now, how I was saying, like, the attention's on Caleb, how absurd, yada yada yada. And this is a pro example. This segment, they're not talking about the Houston Texans, right? They're not talking about what can the Houston Texans achieve, how dominant can they be, the momentum that they can build, their Super Bowl aspirations, all of this. It's all about what does Caleb Williams need to do, right? And it's like, we're so obsessed with all these new things rather than what has already proven. And it's not like CJ Stroud is 97 years old. Like, I don't even understand. Like, it's kind of crazy to me. Like, why can't we get like a good, well thought out, deep, dive segment on the Houston Texans? For the life of me, I can't figure it out. It's like, also the Texans should be a shiny new toy because the team as a whole is relatively like new at this level. So we should be talking about them. We should be excited about it. We should be unpacking it. We should be talking about what they need to do, what they need to minimize in order to kind of keep winning and take it to the next level. But I struggle to find those clips. I really do. I try my best, but I honestly genuinely struggle. I thought this was going to be like a good back and forth, but they were talking about CJ Stroud and the Texans, and it's just like, nope, let's just actually talk about Caleb Williams for the next 15 minutes. And it's like, we've already done that for days and days and days and days and days. And I do believe Caleb should and will, for the most part, should look better than he did last week. But it will be interesting to see because you have a good defense when you can take advantage of a rookie quarterback, right? That's why the Bill Belichick's of the world always, for the most part, dominate these young rookie, just younger quarterbacks in general. And it was hard going up against the Colts for the Texans. I think I've said this before, that it was always hard to kind of figure out maybe who the Texans are defensively because AR, Shane Steichen, that's such a unique combination. AR's skill sets, the quarterback for the Colts, is so unique, such a specific type of quarterback that he could potentially always have a moment where he's throwing a 70-yard cannon and ripping off, God knows how many yards for rushing. So it's just the same thing with Lamar. Any of these really hyper athletic quarterbacks, I think it's just always going to be tough to gauge how good your defense is in that game. It's why Lamar Jackson torches the NFC versus the AFC. So I don't really know 100% who the Texans defense is. I totally admit that. I don't have a good finger on that pulse. I think they should be better than they were last year, and which I've unpacked months ago at this point, saying how they not only got better offensively and defensively. And when you get better defensively and you already have a great offense, you're now asking your great offense to do less, which makes you even more powerful, which puts you in a position to be even more dominant and so forth. So I don't have to kind of go through all that again. But I think this will be a good barometer because outside of Caleb Williams having his true welcome to the NFL moment where he's like, that's right, like, I told you I'm a beast, and he just dominates, and he's like, pretty much voiding everything that I just said, and he was like, last game was a fluke. Like, I am better than Patrick Mahomes, and you're about to all find out. Unless he has that type of game, the Texans, if they really truly did take some steps forward defensively and are truly a top team in the NFL, they should make Caleb look uncomfortable. It's not to say that Caleb won't have moments of success. It's not to say that he won't even put up numbers and look significantly better than he did in his very first game. But I think there should still be plenty of moments that he looks uncomfortable, unnatural, forced errors. That's usually the mark of a pretty good defense. And that's what I would want to see. And this is another great barometer, void of all, ignoring even that whole side of things. The Bears should have a good defense. They should. It's tough to gauge as well because they played Will Levis and the Titans, and I don't really take much takeaways from that personally. So this is more of this is more of what they did last season and kind of rolling over to this season. It is largely held that they have a really good to great top defense even. So I'm really curious to see what CJ Stroud does and that offense as a whole against what should be a good defense, a great defense. And to me, that will clarify. I always try to figure out, especially in these early season games, like, what am I looking for? What will help me get a clearer picture of this team? Because we it's hard to put things in context. We don't know what a team is. What did this team just have a bad game and they're actually not actually that bad, or another team blew this other team out and it was just because they're just so much better than everyone else. It's just hard to figure out. So I try to lock in and be like, what can I see? What am I looking for to help me clarify who a team is, and in this instance, who the Houston Texans are. So I'm excited to see what that offense does against what should be a potent defense, and I'm excited to see what the defense should do against a young, kind of confused offense. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure that Caleb and that offense should be down a couple weapons, unless that changes by the time this video posts. I'm recording this on Friday, and I believe it's going to post on Saturday or Sunday at the latest, of course. And I think that will kind of just start to draw a much clearer picture of who the Houston Texans are. But this is Sunday. This is box office. They're going to talk so much about Caleb Williams, and I'm anticipating that CJ Stroud is going to be like, bro, you guys need to stop with this Caleb Williams. I'm already here. I've already proven myself. I have a team that can actually go to the Super Bowl. Stop with this nonsense hype that Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears are going to get to the Super Bowl. Nick Wright, keep your take. We are here. Let's go. And it's just going to be, I'm actually really curious to see, especially how the commentators handle it, right? It's Sunday night, right? So it should be Collinsworth, right? And so I'm really curious to see that dynamic, and if they continue to emphasize Caleb Williams and talk about it, or if that high-powered offense is just going to force to make it the CJ Stroud show. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think it's even possible for Caleb Williams to outplay CJ Stroud Sunday night, Bears Texans, or do you think that's just even a crazy question to ask in the first place? And do you think that the spotlight should be on Caleb Williams, considering he was a #1 overall pick? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.